Hey guys, this is another video comparing some trucks. This time we've got some B Model Macks. I've done Peterbilt's, the 351 281s, and I've also done livestock trailers comparisons between different companies and also garbage trucks from different companies. So go on and hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and watch those videos once this one's over. But right now, we're going to compare these B Model Macks. First up, we have the B model here with the trailer. Now, this is not the trailer that came with it. I put a DCP trailer. It came with a true first gear trailer, so I went with a DCP. It is a B Model Mack from First Gear. This was a tooling that was made while it was still First Gear before they bought out DCP. So this is a true first gear tooling. Then we have the older B Model Mack that came out a long time ago in the 90s from Ertl, which is very hard to find these days, but at the time it was one of the only, it was the only B model you had for an option in 64 scale. You did have 34s from First Gear, but that was only 64th. And then we have this one over here, which is a Neo scale models. It is a B61 that came out a few years ago. This one and the First Gear are pretty contemporary, while this one is 20 years older than any of them. Here, the First Gear and the Ertl are all die-cast cabs with die-cast chassis. The Neo is a resin cab with a die-cast chassis. So that's going to be your first biggest differences, is this type of the cab. You've also got this one here, which is a $65 if you can find them by themselves, B model. This one here was originally, my gosh, with the trailer, I think these were $35. No, I don't even think they're that. Maybe $25 when they came out. And then the last few of these I've seen have been in the, they bring $45, $50, and sometimes $60 for these guys. So the old Ertls do bring some pretty good money. And then this Neo, it came out, it was $95 to $100. So there's your price difference. Of course, this one, when it came out with a trailer, was $70, truck and trailer for the Navajo. It didn't have this trailer, it had a first gear trailer, but that's okay. So now let's set this trailer unhooked and then start off with them. Now, the B models, if you'll notice, they all have a Max 6-spoke wheel in them. All of them. Now, I will say that Neo definitely did the best wheel, period, of all three of these. The Ertl, I'd put it in as next, even though they chrome plated it, but chrome plating wheels was very, very common back in the day. First Gear, like usual, that wheel leaves a lot to be desired. They both have a single exhaust stack, all on the passenger side, as you can see right there. First Gear, they did a nice curve out stack with a big, thick, fat muffler, like the B model should have. Ertl did a flat cut straight stack on the big flat muffler. Neo did a really nice curve, and then they have a thinner muffler. Now their muffler isn't quite as thick. I'm used to seeing all B models of these, but B models also had these little thinner ones. Both the Neo here and the First Gear have a little decal of black dots that make up the heat shield. The Ertl has the heat shield molded in. All three have fifth wheels. The fifth wheel on the Neo and the First Gear pivots, whereas on the Ertl, that fifth wheel is molded. It's just part of the die-cast chassis. It's not an individual part. We have mud flaps on the Ertl and the First Gear. We only have a brake light on one side on the First Gear. No brake lights tampoed there. No mud flaps over here on the Neo. But we do have, over here on the Neo, 2 brake lights and a license plate tampoed. Not quite sure why they put that back there, but they did. First Gear has quarter fenders. The other two do not. But those quarter fenders, they're way out of scale, really and truly, for this truck. The diameter of the wheels, the Ertl is actually the correct size. The Neo and the first gear are a little bit too big in diameter, but that's normal. For the modern day, first gear and 64 scale has gotten a little bit bigger in overall size. Now for the sides of the trucks. They have on the sides of the hoods, each one of them has the Mack tampo with the little detailing tampoed in. This one has thermodyne and diesel. This one I think just has thermodyne, and this one here has thermodyne and diesel. There's a little latch, but they didn't tampo it. The latch is a photo etch part here. It's molded in and tampoed there. The first gear and the Neo both have mirrors. They did a really nice job. I think the Neo's mirrors are a little more refined than the first gear mirrors, a little more fine detail. There are no mirrors on the Ertl. Quite frankly, none of the old Ertls actually had mirrors back in the day. So that's to be expected for a 90s truck. Now when we get into the front, no windshield wipers, photo etched wipers, easy to flick off, wipers that are molded into the window and tampoed. They've got the gaskets tampoed in black on clear hard ABS here on the first gear. On vacuum formed window, they've got the gaskets tampoed on the Neo, and just plain black, solid black windows on the Ertl. Common of the era, but that shows how old the model is. It is a much older model. So there's no detailed interior, whereas the first gear and the Neo both have dashboards, seats, steering wheels, etc. inside. Nice detail. You've got individual chrome plated air horns on the first gear, silver aluminum painted on the Neo, dual bell arms. They look better on the Neo than on the first gear. Molded into the cab and not tampoed on the Ertl. The roof lights molded into the cab on the Ertl but not tampoed. Molded in but tampoed with silver. And nope, just all orange. No, there's a little bit of silver on the back and some orange on the first gear. Individual style pieces added on that are silver base and clear amber Tamiya paint on them, so they look like lenses. You've got individual part windshield wipers here that are tampoed and painted, and same on the first gear. The Ertl, the turn signals are molded into the hood and they're not tampoed. Grills, big chrome piece, kind of looks like it has the Mack there, and then the bumper below. Not super refined, but not a bad looking front end. Over here to the first gear, we have the nicer grill. They have some black tampoed in here, and then they have Mack written there, and it's chrome plated. Now on this Neo, they did not chrome plate it. They painted the surround in the paint color there, but they could do it in painted in aluminum. Then they put the bar grill in, and then they tampoed a bunch of black. Plus, then they added right here, they added a silver piece and a tampo of Mack. There's a Bulldog here on the first gear. It's okay, it's small. There's a nicer Bulldog on the Neo, and it is right there. Now, the Ertl does not have one. Another big thing, there's a chrome-plated air intake and cleaner here mounted on the side of the Ertl, and they painted them here and here. Now, this one looks very much like that one without the cap. This one has a big pop-up cap for the air intake. This one here looks the best, period, of the three. You can see the bracing, just thicker, heavier duty looking than the Neo. A little more durable here, a little more accurate over here. But both of them are a little bit out of scale for that size. Now, something that was very common back in the day were these little signs in the front. First gear didn't do it. Ertl definitely didn't do it. Neo did it. However, they did have the bumper with the sign because they did put it on some of the dump trucks. So they did have it. Individual jewel style headlights and driving lights down below. Individual jewel style headlights and tampoed driving lights below. Chrome plated pieces right here that kind of look like the old sealed beam headlights, but they're chrome plated. Detail underneath, I can only hold one at a time or two at a time. The Ertl has some basic engine and drive shaft and differentials molded into the base piece. It's just molded in. It isn't super great. No steering on any of these models. None of them steer. It looks like they've kind of molded spring suspension on these two. However, the first gear, you'll see over here, has much better rear suspension design, and it's individual pieces. Drive shaft is individual pieces. Fuel tanks are molded, are part of the frame, and as is this air tank. Front suspension, much better design. Now let's look at the Neo here. On the bottom, the Neo has a nice front suspension, still no steering, has modest bottom of engine and transmission detail, nice drive shaft, and not as nice, but really nice rear differentials and rear suspension plus drive shafts. That's a toss-up. The first gear, I think, wins on that bottom, like they did on the Peterbilt, but overall, I don't think it's not enough. They have nice tread pattern, all of them a little bit different. This one here is kind of a weird tread pattern just from the day. This one is close to a bias ply tread pattern, and this is a really nice bias ply tread pattern on the Neo. Again, simple trucks. There weren't a whole lot. I mean, with the butterfly hood, it makes it hard to open the hood, so we got no under the hood detail. Graphics, they make a big difference. No grab bar, not even a tampo here. Grab bar there, that's an individual piece. Grab bar that's tampoed. Door handle is a tampo, individual piece, just molded in. All three companies have done great graphics over the years, so I wouldn't really discount graphics. I mean, these are super nice, especially when you count how old this truck is. Their tampos are awesome there. The doors, all really nice. So they're great models as far as that goes. But which one do you think so far is the best? I know you're going to laugh, but I'm going to say the Neo, definitely. First gear is next. They're just a little bit wrong with the cab. It's not quite rounded enough, and a couple of things they could have done a little better. Mainly the wheels on them trucks are just so not great. Ertl, of course, last, but then again, the Ertl is the oldest by 20 plus years. So it's hard to compare that Ertl to these modern, better ones. Now let's go on and hook them up. I'm sure it will hook up just fine to all three of these trucks. This trailer is a very versatile trailer right there. Set these two aside for just a moment. All right, there we go. That is a DCP trailer hooked to a first gear cab. We know very well that those work really well together, even when sometimes they say they don't. However, there's a problem with this. Note these oversized, really oversized quarter fenders do not allow it to turn. If you raise it up and get it over it, it will turn. The mud flaps clear just fine, but otherwise it just won't turn on this because those quarter fenders are wrong. Now let's look at the Ertl. By the way, I chose this Navajo because it's one of the nicest DCP vintage trailers and B models that I've got. That on the Ertl, it sits down too low. The trailer is riding on the wheels instead of the fifth wheel. Check that out. It wants to catch on the landing gear. So it doesn't hook very well at all to this, but if you just wanted to set it on a shelf, this B model would work with an Ertl and a DCP trailer. Now the Neo. The Neo, it hitches up very, very well. It steers just fine. It will roll just fine. As you can see, the trailer is above the wheels, no catching anywhere. So this truck here, the Neo, hitches up the best. So guys, which one do you think is the best truck? Like, I don't know. The windows, the shaping of the cab, the first gear is very nice. I'm not going to disparage it. It is a very nice looking cab. And it does, if I had the first gear trailer, it would hitch just fine, even with those really weird looking quarter fenders. But I don't have that one. I wanted to use the DCP, because we like the DCP trailers a lot better than the first gear trailers. And then there is all three of them. Which cab do you like the best? You know me, I think the best one is the Neo, for sure. Second here is the first gear. Last is the Ertl. But I don't discount the Ertl simply because of its lack of detail. I have to put into consideration the time period when it came out. So I still like all three of them, even though I think this one is the best. What are your thoughts on these three different cabs? What should they have done? What did they leave out besides an opening hood? Butterfly hoods, that would be hard to make in 64 scale, so that's why. But which one? Do any of you have any or all of these cabs in your collection? Let me know what you think. Drop it down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with another video. This time it's going to be on a K100 from a TV show, so you're definitely going to want to see that. So hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss it. I'm Logan, and I'll be back soon with another video.